Annie Knight, welcome to the Tokyo Living Podcast.
Hi, nice to see you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow.
Very broad question. What's
Where
your
do I start?
background? Yeah, I mean, you're obviously a musician, and we're going to talk about a lot about that today. What was your start in music, and how?
Oh my
And I
goodness.
guess, what brought you out to Japan?
Wow. Well, I've actually been in Japan almost 20 years, which I can't even believe that when I say it. But yeah, it basically came to Japan on a whim. Um, and
Yeah,
yeah, yes. I studied music at university. But actually, maybe we'll talk about a bit about this later. But I studied music at university, and actually, it was a mixed experience for me.
mm,
And I sort of lost music for a long time because I was intimidated by all the wonderful people at university that I actually withdrew from music a lot.
really? Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, which is why my passion is encouraging people to make music nowadays.
Sure,
Uh,
sure. And how did you start? Did you grow up playing music?
yeah.
Obviously, to going to into the university. How old were you when you started, and what sort of instruments did you get into?
Well, I have four older sisters, and my who all played instruments. I'm the youngest, so there was always noise music. My mum sang, and my dad played guitar and always sang. So it was a very sort of lively household, and it was music for fun.
Yeah,
You know, it
yeah.
was none of us professional musicians. It was all music for fun, and yeah, I learned a variety of instruments. And sang in school choirs and things,
Yeah.
and went to university, and I went from being a sort of big fish in a small sea to a tiny fish in a massive ocean, with all these
Yeah.
wonderful people. And it was a very traditional Western classical music based degree, and I don't know, I just found it quite intimidating.
Yeah.
And yeah, so after university, I went to live in France for a bit and was teaching English. Met a Japanese lady in France, and she said, "Why don't you come to Japan?" And I thought, "Why not?"
Yeah.
And yeah, and so yeah, it was teaching English for a few years, and still really didn't do much music at that time. Do the sort of karaoke, drunken karaoke.
Mm,
But I think I still sort of had a complex about making music, until I had my daughter.
right.
And so my daughter was born in 2011, just after the big earthquake.
Yep.
And yeah, at that time, I just really felt it was like a physical need to sing to her.
Mm,
And, all these lullabies and songs that, my mum and dad had sung to me started coming back. And, I would sing lullabies and do, sorts of various musical things throughout the day. And my love of music began to reawaken. And actually, I invited some of my friends, my mamatomo, my mummy friends, um, from many different countries. And I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could each bring a song from our own culture and share it with each other so that we can sing to our babies and, sing songs from different cultures. And I invited them round to my house, and it was just a massive flop
oh,
because
really?
it was a real flop because nobody wanted to sing.
Mm,
Everyone was kind of too shy,
yeah.
and so it ended up me just sort of, teaching them some lullabies and songs that I knew. And so I thought, oh gosh, this is this there's there's a need. There's a need um for, to help people sing to their kids.
Yeah.
And just by coincidence, well, I mean, now I don't think it was a coincidence, it was meant to be. But I met a lady who said, "Oh, don't you know Music Together? Have you not heard of Music Together?" And I was like, "No, what's this?" And so she said, "Oh, it's a parent and child music class, and you get songs from all around the world." And I was like, "Sounds great." So I went to a demo class and I was like, this is what I've been looking for. This is exactly what I had wanted to create by myself at home.
Yeah.
um, so yes, these music classes, I took my daughter. I was just fell in love with the classes straight away, and loved it so much that I decided to take the teacher training. So yeah, I took the teacher training in Tokyo, and I opened up my own center in West Tokyo in the suburbs in Kunitachi,
Okay.
called ALBA Music Together. And so yes, I started there, and then I also started teaching in Roppongi for Azabu Music Together,
Okay.
which has been teaching music together classes for about almost 20 years
Wow.
in central Tokyo. Yeah, so
Awesome.
that's how I got into it.
Yeah. That's interesting. Good. So you're obviously from Scotland?
Yes,
Right,
that's
correct?
right.
Yeah. What's the music program like? So growing up in Australia, the compulsory music for most schools, most kids is that dreadful recorder, which I guess when played well, probably sounds amazing, but it was never played well at any stage when I was growing up. And then at a few years later, you would progress to the violin, which again played well, is magnificent. There was maybe 2 or 3 kids in the thousand at the school that could actually play it to a
Right.
level. But so my oldest son has just started shulgakko here. And so when he brought home this big list of things that he needed for shulgakko, one of them was the recorder, and my heart just sank. And so, this is what we need now. Because just knowing my son, I can't imagine him getting to the point where he can play it to the ability that wouldn't annoy us. But is that
Funny.
is that the sort of a similar sort of thing worldwide that you've noticed?
Well,
and yeah,
this is hilarious because the recorder is a little bit of a
good bad reputation.
I'm a recorder player, and it has such a bad reputation because everybody has this image of the elementary school, like.
Yeah.
I actually, that was my. It was kind of my speciality at university. I did Baroque and chamber music with various sizes of recorders. A lot of people don't even know that there's more than that. The one that you get at elementary school, but there are recorders as small as this to 7-foot tall recorders. And the repertoire of recorder music is, a lot of it's early music, but there's some amazing contemporary recorder music as well. So it's very funny because it's like I'm a sort of secret recorder player. Because if someone says, "Oh yeah, I play the recorder," we get the image of what you just said. Let me just explain a little bit about music together. So the classes that I teach are actually, it's from birth until 5 or 6. So it's actually very early childhood music education. So I don't know a lot about elementary music in schools.
Sure.
Apart from what I experienced myself and from what my daughter, who's also in elementary school in Japan, is receiving. But we music together. We start right at the beginning. So I have babies, tiny babies in my class, and some people are like, "What? How could what?" You're taking a 2-month-old to music class? What are they going to learn? Well, they learn a whole lot. It's all about exposure and experimentation as the kids get older. But, actually, for the little babies, I'm teaching the parents, really. I'm teaching the parents how to interact musically with their babies. So it might be, doing almost like a baby massage, but to the beat of the music. We do dances where parents or caregivers are holding their child, moving to the music, and the child, actually feels like they are dancing. If they're being held and swayed, they almost feel like they are the ones dancing, and they're learning about the music just through experiencing it through being held. So yes, I have. I do teach specialized classes for babies 0 to 8 months. There's a special babies curriculum, and there's a lot of parent education. So I'm coaching the parents and trying to encourage them to bring music making into their daily lives. I have mixed stage classes as well. So a lot of, preschoolers. Um, and we do, simple instrument play. So for example, with rhythm sticks, so we do various activities with rhythm sticks, egg shakers. We have a play along, what we call a play along basket with various instruments that we have a jam session with, so that the children have a chance just to, explore and experiment with the music. And the parents too, the grown-ups in the room, it's very important that they join in, because children learn from the grown-ups they love, the grown-ups who are around them. We know that, if not such a good example, but for example, if I drop something on my toe and I swear, like my daughter's like, oh, they copy things so readily. So if in the class the parents are really enthusiastic and putting the music into their body, no matter their level, if they're singing in class, it's a really good model for their child.
I think it was interesting when you talked about when your daughter was born, that you started using lullabies and things like that, that your mother had sung to you and things like that. Because so our youngest at the moment is 8 months old, so there's a lot of lullaby singing going on, and there's a specific tune that my mother used to put us to sleep when I was a kid, and so when my older son was born, I just sort of naturally started humming that to him. But I don't know where I would have. So my younger brother is 5. So I guess when my mother was, singing to him, she would have used the same rhyme. But that was stuck in my head for, if she was 5, I guess that's almost 30 years that I hadn't heard it, but it just came out so naturally.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, the lullabies are so powerful. I mean, we know there are studies that show that after hearing a mother or father or close caregiver's singing voice, for example, in a lullaby, the level of stress hormone cortisol is regulated in the infant from listening to that caregiver or family member singing to them. And that regulated or reduced level of cortisol continues for 20 minutes even after singing has stopped.
Okay.
So I mean, it's almost evolutionary. You know how when we when we were in caves and having to shush our babies to sleep so that or because there was a predator outside. Physically, things like this helped us to survive. And it's in our bodies. So I sound like a broken record in my classes. I'm always saying to the parents, are you singing a lullaby every night? It really physically helps the child to calm down and to get ready to fall into sleep. And not only is it good for the child,
but for the parent as well.
For the parent as well, singing, releases, these happy hormones and promotes oxytocin, which can alleviate, anxiety and stress. And so for the person who's singing it, it's also very, very beneficial. Not only, for your well-being, but physically as well. We're using our body. It's good for, your lung capacity. It's good for posture, all these things. It's an all-round, really healthy activity to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously a massive science nerd. So the fact that there's research there showing changes in cortisol levels, I think that's really cool. Does it matter how bad the singer is? Does it have a direct correlation with
I am so glad you asked that, because it's a really important point. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you are a good singer or a bad singer, because the important thing is your voice. The only thing you teach your child to do, by not singing, is don't sing.
Sure.
So if you sing, you're teaching your child that music is for everybody. And actually, there are people that cannot maybe match a pitch, but it doesn't really matter. The CEO of Music Together, Susan Darrow, she always tells this story that in car journeys that she would always, with her father when she was a child, he would always sing, to help the car journeys go quick. And they always used to have a great time, and everybody singing in the car. And it was just a family thing that they did. And as an adult, she heard her dad sing. She's like, wait a minute. Can't really keep a tune.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter.
Mm.
What he was doing was, instilling a disposition for making music with his kids. And as they got older, they achieved, musical competency and, being able to sing a tune properly. But it doesn't matter. And you know what? I've had so many, usually mothers, because it's mostly mothers who bring their children to my classes. I've had so many mothers who've said to me, I have a complex about singing because they've been told by someone, whether it be a choir leader or somebody in their family, like just you shouldn't sing, mouth the words. One specific example, a mother told me that it was junior high school. The choir leader had said to her, "You just stand at the back and mouth the words because and it had devastated her, and she had never wanted to sing, but she wanted her child to grow up with music, and therefore she found our classes and brought her daughter to class because she didn't want her daughter to experience the same sort of hurt about singing. And I always say, please sing out in class. Doesn't matter if you think you're good or bad, doesn't matter, please sing. And so eventually she opened up and started to sing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of this until one day I bumped into her after, it was on another day. It wasn't even on class day. I bumped into her and she told me this story and she got so emotional. She began to cry because she said, you were always saying sing out. And I thought, oh, well, I'll just try and I'll suck it up and I'll do it. And she had rediscovered, singing and had built some confidence up. And
That's awesome.
And that's not an isolated case. I've had many similar stories from other mothers, and actually from all around the world. Because Music Together, we have teachers all over the place, and many of us have heard the same story. And it's so sad, isn't it? So sad. People are scared to sing out.
What other feedback do you get from the parents in terms of the effects of the music on the kids? Whether it be sort of their mood or behavior or anything like that? Do you get much of that stuff? Yeah.
All the time. Sometimes I get wonderful videos that they've snapped of their kids like spontaneously breaking into song at home, or I always encourage one of the things I used to do as a kid. We used to get all the pots and pans out of the cupboard and some wooden spoons, and we'd make a drum kit.
Yes.
So sometimes they send me videos of their kids doing that, or so much. Kids making up their own lyrics, the older kids making up their own lyrics to the songs. One particular example that I remember was it was an American family who was living in Tokyo, and they had gone from Tokyo to Hawaii for a holiday. And during the holiday, her young son had taken ill, and they'd had to go to the hospital, the emergency room, or they had to go to the hospital. And when the doctor was trying to examine the child was obviously quite stressed out, and the mother had remembered what I'd said about the singing voice and how it calms down children. And so she started singing our hello song. So we sing the same hello song every week in class, and it's often the children's favorite song because they're so familiar with it. So she started singing our hello song to try and calm her son, and it worked. But the doctor said, "Oh, you do music together."
Oh, wow. That's
And
cool.
she said, "Yeah, how do you know?" And he's like, "I did it with all of my kids there in Hawaii."
Oh, wow.
And the doctor was like, "Yeah, it's a great program." And she knew to sing it. She knew to sing to help calm her son down, and it worked. So my broken recordness is actually pays off in some cases. So,
Yeah. That the talk about Hawaii actually just reminded me of a singing related. So I think when my oldest Max was 2 years old, we went on holiday to Hawaii, and I can remember coming back, and he was having a bit of a tantrum, and the only thing that would settle him down at that time was the Baby Shark song. Um, what is it about Baby Shark that kids like? It's just
Yeah, good question.
I'm sure it's not the sort of song that you use in your programs, but why do kids love it so much?
But I guess because, kids love repetition.
Yeah.
It's very repetitive, but it has slight if I'm not mistaken, you do the baby, the mummy, the dad, the grandpa. So they do, it's the very repetitive melody, but with slight variations in the lyrics. Kids do actually really thrive on repetition, especially, the older kids. You always hear you finish a song again, and you do it again, and they're like, no, again. Because every time they hear a repetition, they sort of notice something different, or they experiment with the song or whatever in a different way. So I guess one of the good things about that song is that it's very repetitive. It's simple, so perhaps their older siblings and parents and others are joining in with the gestures and things. It's the sort of the ease of joining in for other people. Maybe that's an attraction for that song as well. And it was everywhere, wasn't it? You would hear it everywhere. So interesting. Let me just Baby Sharks. Yeah, okay. But our repertoire, Music Together repertoire, is outstanding. It was one of the great things that I noticed when I took my daughter. We have music really from all over the world, in different genres as well. So it's not all like really kiddie music that can drive you, to distraction. It's music that's, really high quality. It's been recorded by really high quality musicians. And it's interesting for the parents as well. So when it's interesting for the parents, they're more likely to join in and, use it in their everyday lives. So, yeah.
Have you seen kids that this is from the sounds of it? It doesn't seem like this is sort of the focus of the program, but have you had kids that have perhaps started very, very young as infants with the program, but then through that developed a real love of music and taken it further and got into it through primary school and things like that? I guess I'm asking you personally, but also the program globally as a whole. Has that been something that's been evident?
Oh, yeah. Personally, yes, I've lots of kids have really discovered their love of music and, have gone on to learn an instrument. So we're informal classes, informal instruction. And really, I'm not really a teacher. I'm the guide to get the parents and the grown-ups in the room, moving and singing so that they can take that home and do it at home with their children. But, through the curriculum, children have the exposure to help them get to basic musical competency. So being able to keep a beat and being able to sing in tune. So we don't measure. We're not measuring. It's not, we're just there for the experience. We're not checking that anyone's ticked that box and got that. We're not doing that because that's not what it's about. People reach competency at different stages, and some will take up longer. Some kids will be singing a tune in perfect, the perfect notes when they're this age. But basically, we're the foundation. This is the foundation before kids might want to go on and learn formally, take a formal instruction in violin. A lot of our kids go on to do Suzuki Method violin.
Okay. Yep.
And are very successful with that because they've had all this training. They've had all this experience in our classes and at home. So one of my students, she took to violin in a big way and is absolutely, she's smashing it.
Wow.
But the purpose of our class is not to create, world-class musicians. We might do that, wonderful, but it's really to get in touch with our innate musicality. Everybody, I believe everybody is musical. And so, we're not creating mini Mozarts or all that. We're just really helping people get back to making music as part of life. It's part of who we are as humans.
And what are sort of future plans for the business and for you personally? Have you got anything sort of new in the works at all?
Well, yes. I mean, actually, we are just, of course, the pandemic really put a spanner in the works for classes because group singing was one of the riskier activities.
Yeah.
So
was it one of the things you absolutely couldn't do early on? Was it just don't sing,
yes.
wash your hands, and don't sing, and be okay?
Yeah. Oh, so yes, it's been hard, and for Azabu Music Together, the classes in Roppongi, we had to completely stop in person. I mean, of course. So we went online for 2 years. I was doing online.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, how was that? That must have.
It was. I'm still teaching online. I still have one online class a week, and for some people it worked really well, and it worked really well with the babies curriculum that I was talking about earlier, because I was really coaching the parents. And it means that people can join from anywhere, really, for people who can't get into central Tokyo to come to class. I can't hear them sing because of the time lag. I have to mute all of the parents. So because of the time lag, you can't sing together online. Yeah. So I was, I'm like, I hope you're singing at home, and I can see them moving their mouths, and yeah, it works. But in-person classes, finally we're back. We started 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
Yeah. So yeah, that's we're right next to Roppongi Hills, and we just started back 2 weeks ago, and we're building back. We're building back our classes. So yeah, we're still small at the moment. So yeah, if anybody's got kids, come for a trial lesson.
Yes, yeah.
And for my center in Western Tokyo in Kunitachi, I haven't been able to use the studio yet, but I have been teaching outside in the park.
Okay.
For the past year and a half.
Yeah.
So that takes a lot of the risk away, singing outside, and it's been wonderful because we can use the outdoors as inspiration, and so yeah, it's been quite a funny 2 years, but learned a lot. I've learned so much from doing online and doing outdoor classes. But yeah, basically plans for the future, building back, wanting to offer more classes, and getting back to my studio in Kunitachi when I'm allowed. But yeah, so that's my Music Together hat, and my other hats. I've started singing with a community choir again. So myself and some friends, including Stephanie, who was on your podcast recently. We've started singing again, and we sing, world music. And we just sang at a wonderful event for Refugee Empowerment International. Yes, so we just sang at their charity gala last Friday.
Yeah,
which was the first time we've all sung together for like over 2 years and at an event. So
that's fantastic.
We're gonna more singing with our community choir, and also hoping to make more opportunities for people to make music in a non-pressurized situation. So yeah, as I mentioned before, I lost a lot of my confidence after going to university and studying music, and it can be a real big hang up for people. So what I'd like to do is really make more opportunities for people to feel relaxed and to make music in a relaxed way, without fear and without judgment and without pressure. So yeah, there's things in the works.
Awesome. Well, if people want to look out for these things in words or find out a little bit more about you, are you sort of active on social media?
Yes.
Both you and the school, and websites. Where should people go?
So for Azabu, we have Azabu Music Together website, which is just azabumusictogether.com.
Yep.
We also have Azabu Music Together Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
You can contact us through the website or through those social media channels. Also, for my school in Western Tokyo, it's called ALBA, ALBA,
Yep.
ALBA Music Together. I also have a website and social media, Facebook and Instagram. So you can send me a message. If people are interested in coming for a trial lesson, they can do so. Or if they're interested in, future or getting on a mailing list for future music making opportunities, they can get in touch through my website.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, Annie, thank you very much for coming on the show. It was great to hear what you've done, and you're obviously extremely passionate about it. So, yeah, for those listening that are interested in getting involved in this, please get in touch with Annie. But yeah, thank you again for coming on, and all the best for the future of the business.
Thank you so much. I hope I didn't blabber on too much. When I start talking, I'm a blah, blah. So I hope it was comprehensible.
No, it was fantastic. And thank you for, like I said before we started, it was good that someone actually organised a professional microphone setup. So I think this will be, if anything, the highest quality episode in terms of recording. But no, it was really interesting. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.